here in South Austin for over 25 years, right directly on Ben White, facing the freeway. So I'm quite aware of what goes on in this neighborhood. As well, I do want to thank you for your heart and your compassion. Obviously, this is a people problem. We all in this room understand that. To the police who are here, thank you. Your staff, you're underappreciated. We do appreciate what you do in this community. The decisions of what the church has enabled people to do in this neighborhood makes it to where people don't leave this area. That's obvious to you. Again, I thank you for your heart and compassion.
Okay, I want to kill somebody right there.
Are everyday consequences that come from these services being in this neighborhood.
To
the councilman that said earlier that you don't believe in criminalizing homelessness, that's a really nice soundbite, and that that's a deflection if it's more than anything. I don't think anyone in this room feels that homelessness, not having a home or a shelter, is a criminal thing. What we're all concerned about in this room are the activities that go along with some homelessness. As the small business owner right there, let me give you a list of everyday things I see. Masturbation in front of our store, in front of clients. Fights. I saw a gentleman cut himself and draw on the sidewalk in his blood. I've personally cleaned up over 200 needles in my parking lot. We privately on our own pay every single day for cleaning crews to come in and clean the front of our store. Every single
Yet
night.
he's done nothing for the
night,
homeless.
Without fail, we have people setting up encampments and sleeping in front of the sidewalk.
Because
We've had
of
to call
rent.
the police at least a dozen times. We have a criminal trespass on file with them. It doesn't do anything. They don't have the manpower to show up. Nothing ever changes with that. So my question, I would genuinely like one of the councilmen to answer this. If you were a small business owner with actual skin in the game in this neighborhood, what would you say to one of my clients who looks at me and says, I don't feel safe coming here anymore? We've moved to a different, complete business model where we actually pay for delivery of our product to them, and we have to fold it into the price of the product itself. What would you actually say to one of my clients who says, looking me in the eye, I don't feel safe coming to your business?
So I think it's so difficult, the situation you're dealing with, and I want to acknowledge that first and foremost, that you shouldn't have to be dealing with. To your question about what do you tell somebody, I think that what we have to say is that we need to do a better job as it relates to public safety enforcement. Right? If someone doesn't feel safe, then that means what we're doing is not enough as it relates to public safety. And you have touched on, I'm so grateful that we do have our APD officers here, and they are doing a lot of work in our community. The Constables is doing a lot of work in our community. We need, I've also touched on, we need more staffing and more ability to do that. So I wish I had, just the silver bullet clear answer that this is how it's just going to be fixed tomorrow. But I think what it is that it's us doing a more
Called rich people stopping hoarding money.
Create a public safety environment for this.
I didn't ask how to be fixed. My specific question is, what do you say to a client standing in front of you that asks that question?
He doesn't know how
I
to
say I'm
answer.
sorry that you feel that way.
I'm sorry.
Enjoy your term, it's your life.
Fuck the police.
I was going to answer the continuation of the gentleman's.
If this is a free
I don't
speech
know
zone, I say fuck the police.
What's happened in District 9, I represent downtown. We've had issues with business owners coming to us in downtown where businesses have been vandalized, where folks don't feel safe, their employees don't feel safe. This problem bleeds not only in downtown on Congress, but to 6th Street, not only there, but also to 2nd Street. What we as an office have done is we've started a quarterly meeting where Lieutenant Rodriguez attends with APD.
Not everybody's
downtown
helping.
Lines, folks from Dana, small business owners, bigger business owners, folks at Stream Royalty that are looking to redevelop 6th, and kind of walk through issues that folks are facing and how we can work towards solutions, whether it comes from APD, it comes
They've
from
made
the
thousands and thousands of arrests.
The mayor's office also attends.
Made hundreds of camp clearings.
Recently, it's a pilot program called.
They've killed 500 people a year.
David kind of talked about it. Part of it is this concept called the Oasis, where folks.
It's okay.
Yeah, how about you sit down?
Well, you guys have 6 minutes, I will pass it back.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
You guys talk all you want to. Let them talk.
Hey, I'm Zeph Sawyer. I'm a
Austin transplant from Ohio. I've been here about 6 years now, though. I recently bought my first house, which ordinarily would be a time in your life
Somebody
to
can also
celebrate, but
tell.
unfortunately I bought it here. I live on the corner of Merle and Red Street, the White House. You can hear from the crowd what I deal with. There is a nook in my fence that they found, and I think word got around and they started camping there. I found a lot of needles back there, some fights happened there. I broke up intercourse once. That was fun. That's also, by the way, less than 500 feet from an elementary school where this stuff's all happened. It's crazy to me that that's legal. It's crazy to me that nothing happens. I've called police out to my house 6 or 7 times in the last 6 months. I recently paid $5,000 to put a fence around the whole thing. So if any of you wants to Venmo me, that'd be great. And yeah, I mean, it sucks, honestly. It sucks that this is the reality of the situation and that our city council
You're just
does
supposed to
nothing.
put up with it.
To Pastor, I forgot the name, Pastor Mark, I appreciate that the work that you do is necessary, but I don't think it needs to happen so close to a residential neighborhood.
Apparently it's our shared goal.
So that's my opinion. I don't expect
Have you ever been
anything to
homeless?
change this meeting
Yeah,
still,
okay.
As I thought it would.
Apparently
because I'll
not.
stand up here.
It's
Does
okay.
it matter?
Well, if you're gonna shout over my camera, you're gonna be part of it.
Don't point your camera at me.
I will
The reality
point it all day as long as you keep talking
we
to
live
me.
in the neighborhood is that things aren't
Don't.
changing. Things
Keep
are getting
talking.
worse.
Don't.
Go get a copy.
They seem
Okay,
to
would you like me to?
understand
Would you like me to show you this?
I don't care that
I know you
you're
don't
press.
care. Shut up and leave me alone.
Push the limits.
Excuse me?
Shut up and leave me
They're
alone.
able
I'm
to
filming.
do. I have basically everything that gets left out of the house, every package that gets delivered
Mm-hmm.
gets stolen. I'm not really concerned for my own safety because I'm a bigger young male, but my girlfriend is 5 foot and about 110 pounds. She's a runner and she tells me that she's afraid to run in her own neighborhood.
One Karen
And
going.
it just sucks to hear that. So I would love to see something change. I would love for the
She was talking to me and she wanted me to
for
film
the
her.
work to continue.
I told her, you keep talking to me, I'm gonna film you. And so she went to get a cop because you're the Karen. So what's going on here is these Karens and Kens have been calling y'all on a lot of my friends, and y'all been out there persecuting the streets until people kill themselves by the hundreds and hundreds every year. It's a matter of fact. And so if Karens want to come up to me, they can. But you're dismissed for this, and thank you. Appreciate you. You're doing a great job. Support the press. No, it's good. Yeah. No, you're free to go. You're free to go. Oh, you stand here. Hey, you're actually harassing me.
In Austin.
By standing? You're really close to me. You're right down further from me.
For the future.
Okay, but you were sitting down. Why are you over here? But why do you have to? Why do you feel like you have to get the constables involved in a lawsuit? Why do you want to be in a lawsuit? I don't understand.
Would you step aside?
Yeah, step away.
Maybe some of your focus.
Officer, this other officer's harassing me.
That's my chief.
I'm talking to him. I'm talking to APD, a different jurisdiction.
Like this gentleman, and brought it up 4 years ago in the city
Are you an
council
officer?
meeting.
You on duty?
We
Okay.
need legal campgrounds.
Fuck the police.
We passed a
Not
law
that part.
3 years ago saying that.
If we're gonna have free speech, we're all gonna have it.
Camping in the city willy-nilly, it's just unacceptable.
No homeless people got in line.
Control.
I've been homeless. I'm here.
That the homeless people
You
got in
say.
Just because they got us in court and killing us, we're scared of them.
Get a lawyer.
They've been murdering
And
people.
change laws.
So they want to criminalize homelessness.
I agree, Mark, that you've gotten too big and we need to move you into a facility.
I feel like cutting a line. She cut in line. I'm gonna cut in line. What's that? Really, we gotta do something about that guy.
However, there are staff from council offices here that's going to hang around a little bit longer, and if you haven't been able to talk, please.
Hey, Ryan. What if it buys extended time?
Extend the time, it says.
What if it buys extended time?
Some of my colleagues, I can't even talk to this yard yet. Some of my colleagues here are going to have to leave because they
There's a lot of haters here. Pro-cop haters. Anti-homeless, pro-cop haters. tell me about Austin residents.
Bed today, that's fine, I will stay here, but I have to pick him up at noon. I have to, or he will not get home. So that is my duty as a parent, and
Hey, Charles.
I'm willing to stay here with y'all until the last minute that I can, but that is something I have to, and I'm sorry, but that's the reality.
So Alter says he's gonna go pick up his kid.
My daughter Emmy goes to Jocelyn. It is a lovely, beautiful school. There are challenges with sunrise across the street, but please don't let anyone take the schools from being ruined by the presence of our homeless neighbors, because that's not true. So, just a little bit about me, because I think it will give you context about my question. I'm an attorney. I'm also a licensed clinical social worker. I work in the social service realm. I've represented homeless people both in court and as an ER social worker. And my main concern is that the acuity of the social service needs I see in our community is skyrocketing. Like, I love the work Mark does. My daughter's Girl Scout troop did a celebrating community badge with their Girl Scouts, and we made care packages for our homeless neighbors that had things they need to stay safe during the winter, like chapstick, Vaseline, hand warmers, hand sanitizer. So I applaud the work, and my concern is that the acuity is so high. There's no way that it can be adequately addressed in a community setting all the time. Like, there's great longitudinal research that Housing First initiatives work, and they do. But there are some people who need more sooner. And so I would encourage y'all to think about how to address the people who have really super acute needs, because they're humans and they need our help. If you are concerned about homeless activity near Jocelyn, you can call the non-emergency dispatch number for the AISD police, and they'll assess the situation, and the school police department will come out and ask people to leave. I've called them a lot, they come out. I'd also encourage folks to think about this, and this is gonna make you all real mad, and I get it. When we have an encounter with a homeless neighbor, with my daughter, we walk through the park every day to school. We see folks every day. It's a learning experience. It's absolutely a chance for me to teach my daughter how to live in the world with people who aren't like her and who aren't as lucky as she is.
Yeah, there we go.
So I appreciate the work you're doing. I just encourage you to think about the acuity and how you can address super acute issues in the community. Thank you.
Because that also includes an involuntary component sometimes. We have nothing. Under mutual care, there is nothing. We are dropping people all the time for refusal to engage because they cannot. So you must have this conversation with these legislators, your county, and your state representatives and state senators. Because this is beyond. And what we do is take the highest needs individuals and put them in everything else we've created, and it's not going to work. Because we have less than half of it.
Good morning. I'm with UN, and I've lived in the neighborhood for about almost 20 years now. And first of all, I want to thank everyone that is an official, elected official for being here. And I want to encourage you to continue with not only your efforts behind the scenes, but also this public-facing effort. I know it's super difficult for all of us. We have lots of different opinions, but this is how people get things done. It's just by keep coming back and working on this. social factors we know about as well, but I appreciate the council members for working on affordability courageously recently. Thirdly, I live very close to Merlin Red, is the last, where I used to live there. In fact, that's part of the story is that I lived there with my family and my 7-year-old daughter, and we moved away because of this specific reason, because there was a man that was sitting on the park bench at the Capital Metro bus stop. He was yelling for 6 months. He probably had like a Tourette's thing where you just yell out these terribly lewd comments, and that was kind of the last straw for us. There was another family that couldn't be here today, but lives also right across the street from the other gentleman at Red and Merle, and they moved also away. And it's just to put into context that probably the cost of us and several of the other families moving away is probably more than the entire, city budget element that went to Pastor Mark. So, I mean, it has a tremendous personal and private cost for us to make that step. And you just wouldn't believe how much money and time we invested in living there. And then we had to abandon all that to move somewhere else. And so I think the final thing I would just say is, if we can be more responsive to those types of issues, somehow, like you said, it was prioritized, but I don't know why he could live there for 6 months, yelling where we could hear it in our dining room, we could hear it in our bedroom, we could hear it in our kitchen. My daughter would ask me, what did he just say? And it would just be the most terrible thing that you could imagine, that I don't want to tell my daughter what he just said. And then we also have the trolleys up at 4405 Merle that have just been sitting back there for over a year with homeless people living in them. We filed multiple code complaints. Those trolleys are still there. There's fencing and barbed wire and stuff, but so more responsiveness, I think, is critical, and a better prioritization system. So.
True hard stop at 11:45, so please, folks, if you can try to keep your comments to 1 minute, so as many people in line can speak as possible. Please do your best.
I don't know that it reflects 10 years of experience in 1 minute, but I'm going to try. Last night, 10 to 15 stopped at the red light at Jones and Westgate, man at the bus stop, talking to himself, screaming at cars, interestingly enough, waving a machete. And you have to ask yourself quickly when you're sitting in a red light, do I need to get out of the way? What happens when he comes close to my car? Should I run the red light and run the risk of an accident or a ticket? What do I need to do? What about the person who just left work at Westgate, who's trying to ride the bus, who's an hourly worker and walks up and there's a man swinging a machete? What do they do? What do they do? More than 10 years ago, I was part of a committee established by former Councilwoman Ann Kitchen to look at the growing encampment under Paxel Pass. She invited members of the police force, she invited members of the council, she invited members of city services.
And Dusterhoff was there. He's fired now.
Then Police Chief Acevedo to tour that facility, and then we all met at Street Music to try to determine if there was some solution. It was a harrowing experience. And when we met at Street Music, the owner of which said, if this continues, I'm going to have to leave, and that business is now gone. Mayor Adler had the audacity to say,
they're anti-homeless. They need to go down.
Into this problem. I had the unique opportunity to say, I moved to Austin in 2009 from my hometown of San Francisco, where I lived for over 25 years.
Where they abuse the homeless
I can tell you what more
and kill the homeless, the police do in San Francisco
metrics, more
for over a decade.
without performance standards. What happens? What happened in San Francisco, where it is today, a place no one wants to go to, a city that relied on
Because they're using violence.
and on tourism, is exactly what's happening to Austin for exactly the same reasons. So, I am not going to be able to get through this, and I appreciate your trying to guide and all
10 minutes later.
standing behind me. But let's just jump to what I feel are the chase points for me.
10 minutes later.
Let's name the actual problem.
Self-entitled
Yes,
individuals.
It's a homeless issue, but the actual problem under this, Mr. Alter, is a mentally ill substance abuse population that is criminal.
Not totally.
Stop using word salad like unhoused neighbors. Unhoused neighbors build into their homes, threaten me, threaten my family, left drug paraphernalia all over my yard, like many other people you've heard from, and many of my neighbors have moved away because of our unhoused neighbors. Two more points, and then I'm done.
He's using word salad.
Hold the city accountable and responsible for this issue. Stop kicking the can down the street to third-party providers that have no performance metrics attached to them.
For real, that's exactly what I'm saying too. I'm seeing your comments.
Making this happen. To not do so is to destroy this neighborhood.
Everybody's doing it, and everybody left. No, they didn't. It's a lie.
On this particular neighborhood, we're in a way better position now, and I'm grateful to what's happened here. But we have to understand that we have a magnet in this neighborhood, and that is Sunrise Church.
They're trying to shut down church from another church down the street.
Outdated facility that cannot possibly handle the amount of clients that, like Pastor Mark's own admission, show up there, and it is an incompatible land use with an elementary school right across the street. Relocate Sunrise Church.
They're telling the city, the government, to relocate a church because they don't want to see the homeless there.
I'm the Neighbors Program Manager at Central Presbyterian Church downtown. I want to just take issue with what somebody said
I don't have to
earlier
call him a
about
clown. He's
the
already a clown.
majority of people who are homeless being criminals, violent.
Exactly.
I want to say to my friends here that are homeless today, I see you.
Yeah,
I know you're
you're
good
in the
people,
room.
and I know you're falling on hard times tonight, and I see that.
I don't know her.
To you care, I get it, and you are not patting yourself on the back. It's a tough issue. I just want to say I know you all care. I also want to say that I have submitted policy proposals on shelter because clearly we have over 6,000 homeless people in the city.
We don't need more
and
shelter.
only 1,300 beds.
Shut up, Karen.
We do not have sanctioned encampment.
We don't
so
need that.
people have to have somewhere to go. Folks are saying, move it. I don't care where it is. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Think about how we have recognized 20 lots where people can camp. Let's give people a place to legally camp, park their cars, and to go to shelter.
Let's just do housing.
Denver does it with the Safe Outdoor Spaces program. They have 8 sanctioned cases with sanctioned parking places with staff there. So let's establish that. And then let's define our role in homelessness. What is it? To me, it's the front end crisis services. Okay. What's the minimum we want to do for someone? Give them a bed, give them a meal. If that's it, let's do it well, and let's so that we're not turning families away and people that are mentally ill and elderly and saying we have nowhere for you to go. They have to exist. They will continue to exist, and we need to address the crime and the underlying issues. So we need to give people a place to go. And thank you, Mark, for all your work, especially. Thank you.
You're our last speaker today.
I'll make this quick and get it right to the punch. First, if we want progress, we need to stop supporting Congress. Homeless situation needs to be understood as a mental illness due to depression, home anxieties, dysfunctional families.
Karen left.
Uneducated people out there, anger issues,
Karen's leaving.
wrong type of drugs out there. We're supporting drug habits by putting fentanyl out there. There, Narcan, have Narcan. People stupid enough to needles gone, they need to die. Hello.
That's terrible.
Stop supporting Congress, provide some progress. Availability is here, affordability is not.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kill them off. Kill them off. Kill the homeless. Arrest the homeless. That's all I hear.
I have a young daughter who works at Johnson Elementary. And I'll say something really fast. I think the parents, the teachers, the officers, the residents deserve better from you guys. Sunrise operating so close to an elementary school has created horrible safety issues for the students and staff. I'm very thankful for APD. Very, very thankful for APD. But APD officers dropping off homeless guys at the Sunrise Church when it's not open in the middle of the night. So how is that humane to do? And that's coming from a police officer. In the
Yeah.
absence of meaningful action from the city, this community
Cities
has
from all
become
over the
dumping
state
ground
drop
for
people off here
that the city
illegally.
can't bring itself to deal with.
Instead
And
of
this
taking them
happening
to
more steps away from
get
an
help.
elementary school. How can you think that is a good idea?
They just abandon people.
My husband won't let me walk our dogs by myself in our neighborhood because every single time I try, there's an incident. It's horrible that my sweet 2-year-old can't play in her own front yard. Our neighbors awake all night, all the time with individuals trying to take all their stuff, pass out on their porches, and they said, and you say, have you called 311? Yes, we've called 311.
They call 911. We never do.
Okay, thank you all so much. for
Call
the feedback.
911.
As I mentioned,
Call
Jason
911.
Staff
Yeah,
will be
on you.
here for a little while. Please find us and we'll talk more.
The
Thank you.
self-entitled Anglos, wealthy Anglos of this city would love to call the police on you, but they don't want the police ever called on them, which is exactly what happened with that Karen earlier. Always. So when the cops are behind them, they're nervous, but like when they see someone of color or someone in poverty, hey, I'm here. I'm here. I'm not moving. I got roots. I got roots in the issue too. I got a few ideas, and it doesn't involve calling the cops and killing people. If someone here was shooting up and we're ODing, I would make sure they didn't get Narcan, I guess. Is that what I'm told? Is that good? That's good. Seems fair. Don't do drugs. Yeah, are you in line? Were you in line earlier?
I'd like to be.
Oh, you'd like to be? You can get right behind me.
Okay.
Because I'll be talking a lot of smack when I hear things that are lies.
I know, but
I can't handle lies.
I know. They're not. Some people just took way too long.
Yeah, the anti-homeless people took too much time, for sure. And there needs to have continuing conversations, probably.
Well,
But like,
we
make
do
some
need to
guidelines that talking the hate speech is not going to be allowed.
Yeah, but Sunrise is ruining this neighborhood.
Oh yeah, they're terrible. They're terrible. They've saved so many lives for the Lord. I think that they should kill the people. I mean, I think that the homeless should just be killed, just like that lady said. And that guy said you should let them OD and don't give them Narcan, right? Isn't that what we want? That's what I'm saying. What if someone said don't help you, and you were homeless? What would you want to be said?
I wouldn't be homeless because I wouldn't be on
You're
drugs.
privileged.
And
I know you're privileged. I understand.
I
What
would
if you
be
had a
out
mental
there
health
working.
condition you
No,
can control?
I came from very low circumstances.
But what if you had a
But I
problem and were
worked.
homeless? How would you like to be treated? Because that's how you should treat people. That's called the golden rule. It's not radical ideology. It's the golden rule.
The way they're treating them is they're promoting their way of life. They're not getting them to where
Yeah, they are by continuing evictions. We need to stop eviction because that causes more homelessness. Your luxury is our displacement. Yeah, your luxury is our displacement. I was homeless for 20 years. Tell me about it. I'm glad nobody tried to save me.
You streaming anymore?
I'm streaming now.
Oh, that's so cool.
I'm not fucking around because Karen called the cops on me
I
for
heard about
filming
that,
her.
yeah. I was
And I'm
like-
like, okay, well, if I can't have a press and be here and film, then what am I doing in life? If I can't do that, then tell me what the law is. She said, don't stop filming. I said, I will if you'll stop talking to me. And she kept talking to me. I'm like, well, there you go. And then she got mad and got a cop. That's the kind of cop call I'm talking about. You're just literally calling cops because you have white privilege, because you want to have a white, rich city. You don't want to see minorities and poor people. That's it. That's all we're dealing with here. And the solution is what? What's the solution? One solution.
Mental health, for sure.
One solution. Giving them housing. That's it.
That's the only thing
homelessness,
we're doing.
housing, homelessness. And so like you can jiu-jitsu all their talk. I've done it with cops many times. Bad cops down here. Ruggiero, Duster Hoff, who got fired for strangling women and passing cocaine. He was assistant chief. He was at one of these things in this neighborhood at the elementary that I attended. And I told Ann Kitchens, city council member, that guy's bad news. And she didn't even know yet. And then he got fired. Okay, so so like the deal is housing. Just when they're like, well, this, that, and the other. Like, well, what about housing? Does that make any sense? Like, oh yeah, but we don't have any money. Well, how much does APD get? $500 million a year plus. Okay, we do have money. Apparently, we do have money. Apparently, the city council has a $5 billion a year budget. Billion with a B. And they have trillions of dollars in assets. They're trillionaires saying they don't have no money.
My opinion is that the system as it is a revolving door. So I represent a company here in town. We just started. We're called Nomadic.
Okay.
And we want to bring a full-scale data picture to this, because right now the data is atrocious.
There are some confidentiality issues because the mayor tried to do his blockchaining of the homeless through data through biometrics, and he said, you know what he said? I was there at those. He said he was telling all these developers that were from different companies. He said that they were competing to compete for like I think it was like $50 million, and he wanted to put it on the blockchain and needed to have biometrics and track people permanently for life, cradle to grave. And he told the people there. He challenged them to make it bigger so they could encompass everybody in the population of Austin. You, too. So we don't need that. What we need is, like, as a database administrator, or former database administrator, we need to create a unique identifier that's randomized. It's not their social names, anything identifying. So that we can, and we need to put things in the grave when they're not homeless anymore.
We used to work defense, and we are very privacy-focused people.
Okay.
So we see two things happening that are problematic. All the dynamism in tech is basically headed to making ads or doing that on social media. So identifying everybody, profiling people on social media, which is the same thing.
Yeah, that they're already doing, right?
Yes. And it's mainly to drive ad revenue. But in a situation like this, where you need a big data picture that's transparent to everybody, but opaque across the board for individuals to protect individual sanctity.
Yeah.
For a system like this, where you have these two competing parties, ideas, right? But it keeps them honest, and it proves their theories. And
So you give them the data, but let me just posit you this, because you might have a greater relationship and trust with the government than I have, because I've talked to the government through three mayors and multiple city managers. Okay, what if they don't give a fuck? What if they literally get off on oppressing poor people and people of color? What if they literally don't care? Then you give them data and waste money, do another study,
It's about finding that.
So those people don't, I'm going to posit that they don't give a fuck.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and that they are comfortable with our money and our power, and they're drunk on it, and it's not even that $30,000 or whatever we give them as city council members, it's the hundreds of thousands of dollars the developers pay them to get rid of people that are undesirable, like me.
It's about modeling that.
Yeah.
It's about modeling that as actually like a turning that whole interaction into a mathematical proof that you show anyone.
Yeah, they're sold out. I mean, sold out. Oh, absolutely sold out.
What's your name?
I'm Julian.
Morgan Winners.
I've been doing this for a long time. Nice to meet you, Morgan.
Yeah, I'll try and find you on stream.
I'll give you my card.
Yeah, let me get you.
Just don't biometrically blockchain me. I'm not trying to get biometrically blockchain. Don't use this QR code. That was a scam. Speaking of scams, I'm not paying $10 a month for a QR code.
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah,
I figured it out, but it took me a lot of people got scammed by that. Free QR code generator.com or something like that. There's a lot of stuff on their Facebook. People like, I got business cards, I got this, that, and it's all useless.
That's how they get you.
There's a plug-in with Firefox. I had to do an upgrade to Firefox. So there's one in Safari and there's, I think, one in Internet Explorer or something.
There's a guy in the city who goes around to the parking meters because they have the QR codes on them. He slaps stickers over them with his custom one. Now here's what it does. It's a fake website that pays goes to the other website, pays the bill, but he charges like, 20 cents.
Well, interesting.
It's a smart idea.
I don't even know if that's legal or not.
It's illegal as hell.
Is it? I mean, how is it illegal? I don't know. I mean,
It's very funny. It's one of the funniest things I know about the city.
What was that one where the old movie in the 80s where they took one tenth of a penny off every transaction? They had so much money. I don't know if it's Superman or one of the old movies in the 80s.
Have you only had services for a year? It's going to be a year? Okay.
So you can get individual attention, but when you're on the streets, you're not getting anything. And you don't even have a cell phone most of the time. There's no way to contact anything.
I wanted to ask about the guns.
So I want to make sure
the what?
The guns in the camps.
Your information. Charles,
guns? Abbott made guns legal. Anybody can have a gun. How else would you defend yourself if you were homeless?
That's my...
So what did Tom Morello's...
It's what?
Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine, remember his guitar? It said, arm the homeless.
Arm the homeless.
Yeah. And Woody Guthrie, his guitar said, this guitar kills fascists.
That's funny.
It's powerful. These powerful ideas.
Powerful. This guitar kills fascists.
You want to go to that?
I'll say you can keep it also. Charles is on my staff.
How you gonna keep Russia together when the Beastie Boys play? You know?
Like there was a guy I spoke to on he's off of Ben White, I think. So we go with outreach teams to camps and stuff. And
with Endeavor or with
outreach for Nomadic.
I never heard of you guys.
We're brand new. We just started. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, y'all should get me on board before the city co-op shoot. I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be people like Denver and others that are working for the city. They're going to co-opt your work. They've done it to all of my groups. I've started major groups, done a lot of work. My groups are still in existence. One of them is in existence like 5 years later. We've been doing stuff to serve the community. And they're a friend over there, Denver. There's several narcs in the room that are working directly for the city. And then I talked to a friend of a friend in Denver recently, who's a judicial advocate. She said that happens in Denver. That happens everywhere. You're not even special because we're the Fusion Center. You know the Fusion Center? Okay, we're the head of the Fusion Center for multiple states here. So all that spying and stuff is full on out here. They'll set up, like literally cops will have guns, but they'll be dressed as construction workers that are protesting. They'll be acting all this shit. I've seen it so many times where nothing's getting done.
Oh yeah.
Nothing.
It's an interesting city for sure.
Yeah.
He's in our rapid 12 months, and he's asked you to.
Who are we supposed to talk to turn the lights off on?
Let me grab these guys real quick. And then I don't know if you're hanging out for me. Oh, I'm just listening. Okay, all right. What's up, man? Thank you.
You're in line?
You said Morgan?
I just want to speak to him for a quick second. From Sunrise?
I've heard of you guys. Yeah.
So So we're.
I just got out court. I'm dressed up.
You look nice. Good. Very good.
I didn't even get up front.
No, that's okay. You know, I thought the funniest thing was that they said we don't have church. We do have church every Sunday.
I've been to church on Sunday.
I'm like, what the heck are they talking about? Yeah. I mean, it's like, if it isn't going to be this neighborhood, it's going to be another. You know? And
Like Pastor Mark said, it's citywide whack.
And I'm not sure. We've been trying to get it.
So if they don't want you, if you don't want people in your yard, you need to get people out and not do what you're doing, not call the cops on you.
The revolving door doesn't stop.
But they're too stupid. These people do not have a very high education level, and they've been drinking the fluoride and getting the shots, and they are not with it, and they were rabid. They were rabid. I didn't really call the cops on me.
I will say for the last question,
She was harassing me. I'm like, well, I'm wearing a press badge. You're going to be filming. If you don't be talking to me, I won't film you. And she couldn't stop. She got the cops, and they started standing around me because the cops don't like anybody that does anything real. And if you're not getting harassed by the cops, guess what? You're not doing anything real.
Can I take like 1 minute with you? I just want to say hi, and then you can have all the time you want. He's the head of the homeless strategy.
They're going to do their
So yeah, so what they've been doing, I don't know, you know, I've been following the sweeps, right? They've been destroying people's lives, killing people by the hundreds that you serve. And that's why I told Pastor Mark, you cannot protect and feed the flock and fatten them up and not keep the wolves away.
He doesn't have that kind of power to keep all the wolves away, but he's trying.
We all have power. I have power, he has more power than I do. I don't have millions of dollars in funding that I can use. I'm just me.
We don't have as much money as you think.
Yeah, I mean, there's a better need for us to
not as much as anybody, not as much a
I've been doing this off my couch forever.
Law enforcement.
And going to jail like over 20 times now. I keep going to jail for homeless advocacy and for felons. So like, that's why I'm in federal court. That's why I'm pursuing in federal court. Because this stuff's not going to be handled here. You can talk all you want. These guys don't give a fuck. They're on the payroll. This guy makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. David Gray makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Diana Gray quit because she realized what she was doing was wrong. And they're killing people. They literally got blood all over, soaked in blood. And at the same time, they can't overcome constitutional barriers. So we have to get this in court. That's where it's going to happen. It's going to happen in the court and in the legislature. So that's why I'm just going to give them a little bit of my energy. I don't expect them to listen.
And so we're working to tweak that.
But also, approaching HUD, it has to be a housing first. As far as I understand,
Yeah.
Even if But with our outreach team, I've been to camps, I've been to Sunrise, individuals who are dangerous. The individuals who are housed suffering from mental illness or some other substance abuse issue inside of their living room. They're not adjusting
To being housed.
to being housed.
Right, you gotta teach somebody how to be housed.
They're not getting that. Something's missing there. And, I talked to one of my guys. He skipped taxes like a couple people.
Yeah.
And the fact that one is in Houston now, and now he's popped up on there. I need to talk to
The cities don't talk. So I'll say this, part of the challenge there, from my perspective, this is just my perspective, we talked about this at the city council yesterday, part of it is making sure that the right person is getting routed into the right type of housing. Not all housing is created equal. And even within like permanent supportive housing, which is the gold standard, there are certain people who will do better in like a scattered site, where if I have 5 units at this apartment and 3 at that apartment, there are certain people who will do better in that type of environment. There are other people who truly need a site-based PSH, meaning whole development, the supportive services, with case management on site, and medical on site, and everything is right there. Our system is not doing a good enough job of routing people for the right opportunity. And when it happens, then you get somebody who gets into housing that's not the right housing solution for them. And the wraparound supports that are designed for that housing solution is not the right one. So it might help them a little bit, but it's not really going to get to the core issue. And then people fall back. So,
have a psychological debrief. Individuals that like the impact of psychological people. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to fix the we're very practicing.
For sure.
But yeah, counting for psychological things, working with individuals, because that is a very, it's on the tip of everyone's tongue.
And you got with Charles, right? You got you. Okay, all right.
That's part of the reason why it's so but that needs to be like
Yeah, I'm all here for it. Let's find time to connect. All right. I've seen you guys pop up in different spaces on my radar. I'm not really on X, but I feel like that's where you guys do a lot of your work.
That's where it like blew up.
Yeah. Well, let's find time to connect. All right. Nice to meet you. Yep.
You
Hey
can
man,
let
how are
me
you?
go quick.
Okay.
I'm Donna Jeffers. I'm a deacon at Sunrise.
What's up, Deacon? How you doing?
I know. I said I wanted to say, well.
Yeah.
I know. I was like, he's going to breathe.
I was ready.
I work on
Thank you.
I was not expecting
Got bigger. Yeah. Thank Absolutely. And I really think part of what would help here, this neighborhood, the city can't force Sunrise to move. That's something that we can do. What we can do, though, is add more navigation centers in other parts of the city and replicate the model that is, because people are come here because the service is valuable. So how do we get that in other parts of the city? Yeah. So that's the work ahead of us. Well, thank you, Dee. Appreciate you.
All right.
What's going on,
Hey,
sir?
David.
How are you?
You know who I am.
Yes, I did.
So we need to have a meeting because there's a lot of inequity, a lot of criminality, a lot of constitutional violations being directed by your department and city staff and APD. I don't know if you know this. Have you seen the wanted posters?
No.
So I made a wanted poster.
Okay.
There are officers that are continually around the city being told to me, especially, now I can't remember his name. Asian officer. Now I can't remember his name. But anyways,
that's okay.
Garvey.
Okay.
So he has been dragging people out of their
know
tent in their sleep by their foot, injuring them, slamming. One guy slammed on the ground, busted his face up and arrested him so they can steal their stuff during sweeps. Like he's slashing, he and others. This has been going on for a long time. Been slashing tents with knives and taking people out. So you know what a warrant is, right? You know what the Fourth Amendment is, right? What your office is doing is a class action suit of immense proportion.
My office.
By directing the sweeps and the cleanups, by doing that and supervising, you're part of the people that are going to either be a witness or you're going to be a defendant. So we need to do something to mitigate, because it's really not about the loss with me. It's about my friends' lives, and this kind of treatment causes great harm to the community. And your office is doing nothing to mitigate it that I can see. The officers aren't properly trained on how to deal with indigent communities and marginalized at-risk communities. They don't have any trauma-informed care. I'm not seeing a trauma-informed practice and pattern and practice going on within any of the departments, Public Works, your department, any of the departments. There's a lot of stuff that's in other places understood, and it's not happening here. And we all know that the one solution to homelessness is housing, right? So it's like, that's the one thing. And so like the shelters, all the other stuff is superfluous to getting more housing on the market, getting more apartments. Shelter is not housing, and Charles Lewson's been going around, other people in media, city council. Shelter is not housing. Stop mixing those two things up.
I don't think anybody on my staff has said
Okay, I didn't say any of your staff. I'm just saying I've heard
Charles
it.
Lewson is my staff.
Okay, yes, for sure he does. For sure he does. I've got him on video saying it and attacking me.
So shelter and housing are two different things, and we all understand.
They're totally different.
Shelter is an emergency crisis intervention.
Yeah, short term, and it causes trauma and can hurt people for life.
It could. It could also help people divert into housing or divert into
Is it worth the risk?
Well, people are living unsheltered on the street. We have an opportunity to bring them into shelter where they can get 3 meals a day, case management. We can connect them with family with the housing resource. I think it is worth it. But again, every one of these interventions, no intervention is the right intervention for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? Certain interventions work for certain people. And part of the work is...
What part of the intervention involves officers dragging people by their feet out of their tent?
I can't speak for APD. If you have a question...
But are you okay with that?
I can't.
Did you know about it before?
What you're talking about, I have not heard
Did you know? Okay, now that I've told you, how do you feel about that?
I wouldn't agree with that.
Well, that's going on, not from one person. If everybody tells you the same thing all over town, that's a problem.
You're the only person who's talking about a police officer.
Well, that's because the city doesn't engage me. I've filed complaints. The city doesn't hold its officers accountable. The Austin Police Department has zero accountability. Zero.
So I would say this. Let us know. Like, I want to.
I am right now. And let's have a meeting.
So if you could let me know, like, just some more specifics on when it happened, where it was, who, because that's the information I need.
I'll introduce you to a friend of mine who got dragged out of his tent down under 35 and 6th Street. Anytime you want.
That shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
Internally,
he was injured. He's an elder black man. He's tall. He's real nice. The DPS sweeps crew has no problem with them. They don't move his tent. But the city is harder, does worse punishment of the homeless for being unhoused than the state does.
Okay. Well,
the city is less compliant with the camping laws. And you know what the APD is telling me? That they're doing this for you, for the Homeless Strategy Office, and that they're under the city ordinance, not following the state camping law. They're doing the cleanups and closures.
So the cleanups that we facilitate with APD are the HEAL cleanups, and then we also have the host team. And then outside of HEAL, we will coordinate cleanups with APD, but that still involves outreach going out first and us moving people into shelter. So anything that's not that is not coordinated with our office. And I can't speak to whatever that is because I generally don't know about it. So I want to unpack that with you. I don't know that I can do that right now.
Let's do it another meeting.
Okay.
You know how to get a hold of me?
I don't. But if you've emailed me, then I probably have your email.
I haven't emailed you.
Okay. You have a card?
I might. I know I emailed Diana.
Okay.
Y'all aren't related, right?
No.
Okay, good.
And she spells her name the wrong way.
Yeah, the other way. Oh, the wrong way. Okay. All right, cool.
All right. Well, it was nice to meet you,
Yeah,
sir.
you too.
Yep. Thank you.
David, I just wanted to say thank you for doing this. No problem. This is outstanding just to come on.
Thank you. I didn't know I was shaking.
Well, I really doubt it was homeless people that went in and stripped.
To lower the number of people need to stay in this area. Again, because there's not better places for them to stay. And so if we can help identify better places for people to stay, but they don't need to congregate in areas where people might not want to congregate. And so making sure that we remember that unless we provide a solution, we can't just what the solution is going to be. And so I think hearing it is really important because we can really start to collaborate with each other. It's really important. Try to work together to find solutions. And when we hear each other, when we're really sitting down and plan long-term goals to get long-term issues, that's when good things happen. Hey, how are you doing?
Good job. This is the first rising port.
I got
Did you have a good time last night? Just called you somewhere? She's like,
We're at a place of worship where they're actually threatening to kill people. And the people that kill people, the cops are here. Yeah, you're right. There's KXAN here. The cops that kill people are the ones that are involved in the conversation. And they're in the worship center with their guns. I want you to notice these guns. I've talked to Constable Drew here about that. Wearing these guns in here. Talk to these cops about that. It's wrong.
I did open up requests for other local IPAs who said starve the system. And then you hear advocates go who want to close them. You know, they don't even have a waitlist. Well, by law, they are an entitlement. You cannot have a waitlist. But we do. We have like 100 people. And then you've got all these people in jail. And the poor partner died in our jail. And I'm pretty sure he's not one of the 10. And his guard was his provider. He came out of Boston like that. And she was one of these people that thought everybody could be in the community. She had all these group homes in San Antonio. She met Laquan, and she was like, oh, he needs a higher level of care. Sends him here. He gets arrested twice. He's going to ask. He called him both times. The second time they were like, well, maybe we'll send him to the States for a Living Center. He can't stay here. We'll send him back to jail and wait for the SSLC. And he died in jail. Like, what are we doing? I have people, and I'm sure you've seen them, but I have people who I have one guy who's an IQ 46. Integral care will not determine him with an intellectual developmental disability because he doesn't have the records before the age of 18. And it's like, he is in and out. He literally gets out, and then if he's not back the next day, everybody's wondering, why isn't he back? He is in and out, in and out, in and out for years. And it's just like, he needs a higher level of care. We have this thing where he would thrive. I'm Sonia Burns.
I'm Julian. I'm with the Challenger, yeah. I've been around a long time.
We'll work with it.
Thank you.
We're pretty passionate about it.
I know you are. I mean, I've been meaning to do we were supposed to do a ride-along recently. We've known each other, like, peripherally now for years. But I am the wild card, like, you know, that's why the senators and the Republicans work with me because, you know, in the House and everything, because they'll listen to HHSC come. I'm just going to give you an example. We have a long-term population in our state hospitals, right? My brother's one of them. So at one point we were like, we have to focus on the 365 plus day and get them out of the state hospitals. So then Sonia Gaines shows up. She's the head of our community at HHSC. She just retired.
I don't know what happened there.
What's your name?
In front of the Senate Finance hearing.
Don't touch me.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry.
I was just saying hi to you.
Yeah. Have a reasonable expectation that I have trauma and I don't want to.
Yeah, I just want to say hi to you.
But I didn't lose my cool.
No, I was just, the lady complained and I was just there to see, make sure everybody's taken care of.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm listening to this
I
lady's
didn't
story
even-
about
I didn't even-
MHMR. Yeah, she has a good point. She has a lot of access to the government too, apparently.
We're not solving a problem if we're serving three people.
Pretty connected.
Yeah.
And then all these people need to come from the jail, but they can't. And we do just throw these people out to the street again, but like, we never build out the continuum. And then HHSCs fuck themselves, sorry, because they won't tell the truth, you know? And I'm just like, and the other day on this guy, so there's a guy, Robert Daniel Cummins, he's in our jail right now. He's been cycling for over 20 years. We've done competency restoration on him like over 25 times. I think he's not on the list.
Thank you for doing it. I'll see you.
We're not going to do it again.
We're learning. Hey, I'll take care.
Hi, I'm Sonia Burns.
I work for Vanessa Fuentes. Hi.
Okay, I should call you. I haven't worked with the city as much as I should, but yeah. Please remind her that we do not have any new beds coming to the state hospital, and the state hospital and the jail is full of a long-term population, and we have nothing for them.
Yeah.
And all the housing stuff we've done does not include them.
We heard your comments, and we'll consider that. Thank you. Thank you for letting us know.
I'm Sonny Burks, and I work
Okay.
very closely with our legislature, so the city should be pushing the ledge to do some stuff too.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care. Well, let me know when you're about out with Drew.
I will, okay, I will.
I might just
To ride along with you. I need to. We had something planned, and then something came up. And actually, I'm supposed to.
Hi.
Good. Stacy.
Stacy, suits.
Yeah.
What's you're a general, right?
More or less.
Lieutenant?
No, I'm elected. I'm constable. I'm elected.
Oh, you're the constable.
Yeah.
Which
precinct 3 this year.
Precinct 3. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I want
Thank you very much.
to try to make this nice. I want to be able to have the right to, as a member of the press, as any citizen that was filming here today, to be able to film without being intimidated by law enforcement officers. This law enforcement officer and that law enforcement officer came up to me because one of the Karens was harassing me, and I told her not to she told me not to film her, and I said, don't talk to me, I won't film you. And I was live streaming this, so all of it was released. And so these two guys got up next to me and were kind of bullying me, and I asked them to leave me alone, and they were harassing me. I don't want that to happen to anybody else. What can I do? Can I file a formal complaint?
I'll talk to them.
Because this is actually, well, I would like to file a formal complaint. Here's the deal. So this is the kind of thing that I actually have, it's kind of my purview, kind of the thing I litigate for. And right now I'm in a civil rights case against APD for similar stuff. So I don't want to get to the point where they're going to escalate me. Then he came and touched my shoulder, which I consider a simple assault or assault with battery. I don't want all that kind of stuff to happen to people who are trying to film and have their space.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do I do that? Can I file it with you?
Just send me an email.
Okay. Do you have a card?
No.
I could probably look it up.
Well, just go to the
I'll look it
website.
up. Yeah, I'll look it up. I don't want to email you because you might be involved somehow. I don't know.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, just send it to me.
It's nice to meet you.
All righty.
All right, take care.
Thank you for your comment. Were you at the other meeting the other night?
I don't see a work zone today, Charles. Is it okay that I'm here? Is it okay I'm in here? Hey, that got mentioned yesterday in a federal filing, the work zone, several times. So good luck with all that. Yeah, you got to have more exigent circumstances.
I got a feeling for there's zero correlation between the amount of people on the bridge and what we're doing. It's actually more enforcement. Like you can track enforcement and how many people are under the bridge. That actually
You know what I
is
mean?
very
Like-
see the amount of people. So, yeah, so it's a really big challenge to trying to figure out. But I appreciate your words and
Thanks for listening, and thanks
Yeah.
for being here, and
Absolutely.
for what you do. And it's just, such a multifaceted and very complicated issue, and you know so much more about it than we do. But at some point, it's just like we have to.
I know.
And
What's interesting about Jocelyn, though, is like, and nobody said this because Jocelyn wasn't represented, but Jocelyn actually went from 5 years ago becoming almost getting shut down to now they're over-enrolled in waitlist.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. So they're actually way over-enrolled at this point.
Is that? I think that I had heard that was because they adopted this these language programs.
I think it's part of it, but part of it's also like there's a lot of families that we're serving that end up going to getting district there. So like because we're using our address date, so like a lot of the students end up becoming Jocelyn students. So they have tons. Like right now, like actually it was on the email chain with them a few weeks ago, and they're like, we have so many students. We need to we need to connect with other elementary schools to get them to go to other elementary schools because they just have so many students. It is, and honestly, that lady who came up and said it's a vibrant school. It's like it is a vibrant. Like there were times, and there's a whole bunch of districting things that made that school really unenrolled. But like where they're at right now, they have such a high quality performance. They have a high enrollment. Like they're doing really, really well. And so yeah, I actually might be enrolling my kid there next year. So yeah.
How old is your kid?
My kid's about to be in first grade.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I went to kindergarten at some hippie kindergarten.
Yeah. I was going to say also, I really appreciated that you indicated that you're tracking the way that people get, I think, to your services, and that you're tracking like the percentage of that that take the bus and so on, so that you can try to make it more distributed. Kind of
Not only that, we track like what part of town, right? So one of Ryan's things, Councilman Alter, one of the things that he's really focused on is like surveying like where all these people that are there on a given day, where are you coming from, where do you sleep at night?
Yeah.
And then tracking where those places are and figuring out if we were going to drop another thing somewhere, where would we drop it, right? Because as I tell everybody, like it's not good for people experiencing homelessness to have to come across the city. They don't want to come across the city any more than you want them to come across the city. Like, it's in everyone's best interest to locate that as close to where they are as possible.
Have you guys ever thought of operating boarding houses?
We did it for a while. It's completely unregulated in the state of Texas, and it's really, really tough. It was not, and there's other agencies that do it and just have funding to do it and do it better. I don't know if they do it better, but they do it. That's a really challenging industry, and it's kind of fraught with a lot of unfortunate, like, abuse that ends up happening because of it. What I have seen work is like hotel turnovers, like where somebody like flips a hotel into kind of like a short-term living situation. Like, I don't know if you've seen Common Ground over there at Woodward and Ben White. It's actually a former piece.
I've heard of it, but was it foundation?
No, it's independent. It's for profit.
Okay.
It's a former PO who actually just saw that all her people were just ending up homeless, and they didn't have a place to go. A lot of sex offenders, things like that.
Yeah.
So she actually opened parole officer.
Oh.
So she was a parole officer for the state, kept having this problem where people would become homeless and they'd rescind. So, anyways, but then she.
Julian, I'm with the Challenger.
So
Lucy, I do a lot more than the Challenger.
It's a good situation.
Well, it's really nice to meet you.
People are waiting.
And I would love to talk to you sometimes. There's going to be some things that you may not realize because I have 20 years of lived experience and I'm still photographing. Do you know that right now some of the same people that you talk to are actually killing homeless people? Some of the same law enforcement officers are killing people, putting them in the jail. So that's a problem for me.
It's a huge problem.
Yeah.
But they should. There are people who do need to get to a place of help, and we don't have that.
It's the jail. It's the jail.
And it shouldn't be the jail.
Or death. You heard people calling for people not to have Narcan and to die. Like, so that's what we're dealing with. It's a white population of this town.
No, it was very upsetting. I mean, and the reason I wanted to interject, because when she was talking about the high acuity people, there are people that desperately need real services, and we don't have it. You will go to jail, and that's what this is what I say to everybody.
And you're at the state hospital?
I have a twin brother who's lived at the state hospital for over 15 years in this admission. It started as a civil and now it's voluntary, but he's been there on forensic.
But you're not you don't work there?
I don't work for anybody.
Oh, okay.
I am an advocate because I want a continuum of care. I don't want people dying in the streets because I decided like
debt history and stuff like that.
Yep, somebody just died. Did you realize that over 400 to 500 people die on the streets in Austin? That means more than one person dies almost every day.
Yes, I do. I am disgusted by it. Like this is why there are a lot of people. Like we did a new Austin State Hospital, right? It's beautiful. The sad part is a lot of people who go there, it would be the nicest thing they've ever been in. It has their own room, their own bathroom.
So I think there's a lot to that. So we'll see how long
this kind of swells. We need to let people come in and get the care they need, right? And then they need to move on to something else that is still
another
part of the
house,
community.
a
That's
roof.
Yes, and that's where I don't understand. I'm going to do an emergency detention at an ER. Maybe I'm going to get a hospital bed or not. I'm going to be kicked to the curb again. Like I sit with the doctors.
And the officers can order the EMS to drug them, to give them a dose, to dose people.
Right.
They can kill people with the dose. Hey, Pastor Mark, how are you?
I'm Sonia Burns.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
I just wanted to meet you. You work with a lot of people that I work with. Emily Seals just went over to the Mental Health Public Defender's Office, so I'm in meetings with her constantly. And I've been meaning to come and like have a sit down with you for a long time. So Sonia Burns, I will be like contacting you.
Do it.
It's that I work on the highest needs, like where we just really don't have anything to
And we need that. I think we got to work on all sides of homelessness, right? I think we got to I see homelessness is kind of like a bell curve where you've got kind of very acute people on one end and you've got very low acuity people on the other end, that kind of everybody kind of in between. And I think if we were doing it right, we'd be going at both sides of that. We'd actually be going at the high acuity side and we'd be going at the easy to house side.
We could stop it from happening by doing eviction moratoriums and rent support and things like having an actual tenants council that gives a shit.
I mean, I was encouraged. I mean, I had coffee with David Gray yesterday, and he said it then, and he just said it today. I mean, that's one of their new focuses.
They got to do it, or they'll never get a high handle on
I'll
it.
give you an example. So I've been working on this because I want so I work at the highest level of the legislature too. And the more conservative they are, for some reason, the more they like me. I have no social media. Nobody knows that. I'll tell someone what I really think, but I'm not just out there because we have one senator that won't talk to you if you have a gay friend. I'm not kidding. Like people don't know how sick it is. But as an example to what you're saying, so Terrace at Oak Springs, when they opened, this. So it was like designed to address like people with chronic homelessness, higher acuity. 50 single room occupancy, little efficiency apartments, really nice, right around the corner from psychiatric emergency services on Airport, so on Oak Springs.
PS, okay.
And there's a clinic there, so 25 were supposed to be veterans, 25 other chronically homeless. At their 1-year renewal, have a meeting. And obviously, the question is everyone getting their lease renewed? This was during COVID. Ban on evictions. And the answer was, no, we did have somebody die. Someone's going to a higher level of care, probably a nursing facility. We think this one person is going to live with their sister, and we're all kind of looking like, really? Like, is that going to work out? Okay. And then they were going to put someone...
We do have a meeting coming up. Yep.
Oh.
We got to do the washer, so I'm just gonna mute up.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I don't want you to get stuck here.
So I'm just going to finish.
I have the
really quickly.
opportunity to be stuck here. Come on.
I don't want you to have the opportunity to be
Thank you.
stuck here.
Good.
Well, but then
Fine,
they were
sir.
going to return someone to homelessness. This was at the end of November. We're getting cold, ban on evictions because of COVID. And I was like, so you've identified a highest needs individual and you're going to return them to homelessness with like a shrug. I was like, where are you accounting for this? Because if this didn't work out, and I was like, is it because they can't pay? And they're like, no, none of it is financial, which means behaviors. So then I'm like, then what's the appropriate setting? Like, you can't just kick them back to the curb, but this was integral care. And
Yep.
Well, yeah. And so, like, they're mad at me because I got legislation this session for all the local mental health authorities in Texas to start having an outward-facing dashboard, but to include the number of people who are dropped from services for refusal to engage. Because I have so many people that are on the highest level of care, they literally cannot meaningfully engage, and then we drop them. We're going to see them. So just account for them, because everything we're doing isn't working. So what's the next thing? Don't leave people to just suffer and then have a bunch of people show up and just call them drug addicts and like not worth our time. Like, that is the wrong mentality.
I like the guy who said they were swindlers.
I texted that to the mental health public defender. I was like, and right now.
You can add that to your business card, swindler. I like that.
Thank you so much for your comments today.
Well,
I'm so glad that there were people in the room though that were like, I'm like, you can't just talk inhumanely about people.
It was rabid in here, but it's always rabid in this neighborhood, by the way.
I know.
By the way, the Karens are rabid in this neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, you know what's fun, and it's not just homelessness. When this church was built, it's funny that we're meeting at this church. When this church was built, the neighborhood fought them hard on the steeple. Like, they were just like, they organized about the steeple.
Too high?
I don't even remember.
Wow.
But like, multiple community meetings, city council got involved over a damn steeple. But they're really good at getting organized about any damn thing. And
Yeah,
so
they're Karens. That's what Karens do. They're self-entitled, racist. So let's just be honest. It's not about being poor. They don't care about white homeless people as much as they do about brown and black people, but they can't admit to themselves and their friends that they're clearly racist, that they want this to be as white and lily white of a neighborhood as it can be, and put them somewhere else. But when they move them, they go to somebody else's yard, somebody else's business. It's the citywide whack-a-mole that you mentioned a while back, which was perfect. Yeah, so it's not solution-oriented, and so you can ignore all the non-solution-oriented people, all the people that say you can kill people, you can displace people, you can go criminalize everybody, you can go do all that, because all that's unconstitutional under the law. None of that can happen. We can get to the part where it's about housing, and why is a trillionaire corporation called the City of Austin Incorporated, with thousands of buildings and pieces of land that are empty, criminalizing poor people and targeting them instead of taking care of people.
Yeah.
So it's really about the have and the have-nots, and about race. I mean, I guess there's part of it. Some people say it's all class, but I disagree. It's not all class.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Well, I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, you too. And I'll interview you sometime, maybe.
All right.
Anyways, I think I'm good here. Made my police complaint. Talked to all the Karens. Good night, Karens. Enjoy yourselves. I'll be homeless in the neighborhood right now. I'm homeless in the neighborhood right now.
We're going to call code enforcement.
I hope so. I got all the codes, 1 through Z. And FTP. All right, see you guys later. Tithes and offerings. Cops shouldn't bring guns into a church. Nobody should be bringing guns into a church, in my opinion. At least that's how I was raised. I was raised in the church, and that's how I feel. But here's the congregation, here's the place of worship, here's where we had an anti-homeless meeting that where people tried to say to kill people that were poor. And nowhere in the Bible did Jesus say to do anything against the poor. In fact, all of Jesus' teachings in the Bible as we know it, in the English version at least, all of his teachings, basically over and over, he says, blessed are the poor, for they shall inherit the earth. No, that wasn't it. He said, blessed are the poor, and that you should help the poor, and the rich people that don't give to the poor. In one book, he said that it's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get through the gates into heaven. So, like, there's all these things that have been interpreted from Aramaic and ancient. You guys putting business cards on everybody's car. But yeah, out of ancient languages and through other languages, French and German and whatever, Moorish, Martin Luther. I mean, not Martin Luther, what is it? Not Martin Luther, what's his name? King James, a Moorish king that interpreted the Bible and added parts of the Apocrypha. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of history, but all over it you can read. Jesus loved the poor. Jesus was poor. His family, his dad was a poor carpenter. His mom was a homemaker, as far as we know. These are people that don't have a lot of money. They're simple, farm, earthy kind of people. And they were in the I think they were Gentiles. They were in the, the common people, just with the common people. They were oppressed by kings, and there was slavery and all that nonsense. And at no point does he say kill the homeless, kill the poor, find people of color, kill them because you don't like them, and just say that you're doing it. So it's these blanket statements that I have a problem with, where they say, all the homeless are doing this, all the homeless are mentally ill, all the homeless are on drugs, all the homeless are doing this and the other. I'm not. Lots of my friends aren't. I know lots of people that aren't. There's tons of people. But you know what does cause people to have mental health issues? Mental needs, as I call them? People targeting them, people beating up on them, people setting your tents on fire, driving by, throwing stuff at, throwing diesel fuel, throwing bleach, throwing gasoline, throwing bullets. They've done all that stuff out here. I am lost. How did I get over here? Anyways, we're taking a tour of the parking lot of the Woodlawn Baptist Church, where we just had a meeting. There's a steeple up there that the neighborhood spent multiple meetings, as Pastor Mark from Sunrise Church said, trying to keep them from having a steeple, because that would be against there's a little squirrel. The squirrel's free. He's homeless. He goes around. There he is. You go around, don't you, buddy? You don't care. No Karens are after you right now. Well, you better watch out. Once all the people are gone, all the poor people, who's the next target? You have to wonder. And you think that's a joke, but the United States Army is the only army ever used to try to destroy an entire animal population into extinction. And that was the buffalo, to get rid of the native indigenous, what were called Indians at the time, native indigenous people from their own land during colonization. And yeah, I think it was General Grant. I could be wrong. I don't know. I forget now, but one of them was the one that was sent to go kill all the buffalo, as were the buffalo soldiers sent by even Stephen F. Austin to go kill indigenous people, kill their buffalo, wipe out their way of life, so that the area could be gentrified. And it's no different. This meeting was part of the colonial movement, the settler movement, to settle land with European whites and displace people of color. Now remember, European whites and Portuguese probably, and Spanish probably, brought in African slaves. They did colonize. They did colonize with European whites. So it's Europeans, it's their way that they built their tiny little shithole country and took over the world. And we're still dealing with the effects. And so homelessness is just another, there's some person of color, there's an indigenous person, there's someone that's undesirable on my land. Even though it's not my land, I'd like to incorporate that land. And that's the colonial mindset. It's a flawed mindset. It's the type of a white inferiority complex, and it shows that there's something distinctly wrong with Europeans that came here and their descendants. They still believe the same things, that they are entitled to they're the only ones entitled to land, only ones entitled to freedom, only one entitled to justice and liberty, and to anything on any land anywhere, including in America, including in Texas, including in Austin. And so there goes Pastor Mark and his aide, Shay. He's got an aide. I don't have an aide. Where's my aide? But yeah, Pastor Mark makes plenty of money off the homeless. All these nonprofits make plenty of money off the homeless. Trust me. There's a ton of narcs working for the city within the groups. I don't have to mention any names. They know who they are. They're infiltrators. So here we are. You don't see any homeless here yet. We're complaining about them. And if you go down the street here, down to where Pastor Mark's going, down a block from the church, from the other church. This is one church. This is Woodlawn Baptist Church. Let me make sure it's a Baptist. I was raised Baptist, by the way, most of my childhood. Baptist, Catholic, whatever, depending on which family member. But there's a Woodlawn Baptist Church. There's their marquee, fancy marquee. They got plenty of money and housing for themselves. What are they doing for people? I don't know. If you go down here, so they were talking about Pax Saddle, and they might as well talk about Menchaca here. There was 2 encampments. There was a major encampment under Pax Saddle where over a dozen people lived. Well, first off, there was a major encampment here on the left side of this street, and the city ended up spending, I don't know, $1 million, something like that, to displace that camp and put in a transit center for the bus lines for Cap Metro. The problem with that is Cap Metro has a bus line a mile away, a transit center for the bus line a mile away to the east. So they didn't need that, but the city will spend no limit to the money that they'll spend to displace people. I've seen them take a piece of grass like this here next to this pole and spend $125,000 on it out in front of the arch to keep homeless people from sitting there while they wait for shelter. Putting in cactus and all sorts of sticky things. So let's see. I was talking about Pax Saddle. They removed, not Pax Saddle, but Menchaca on the west side. They removed a dozen people and just destroyed their lives and made them pack up and go without any real solutions. Then they, on the Pax Saddle side, that they were talking about on the mic earlier in the community input, they literally got rid of another dozen people. I don't think they got any kind of shelter or housing or anything. And some of them I knew, and I filmed these events. And then they put up a permanent anti-homeless fence around the entire block underneath the bridge. The reason people go underneath the bridge is because you're sheltered from the sun, from the rain, and the snow. So you've got some kind of shelter on top of your tent, because these tents are just nylon. They're like 3 mil nylon, super thin. They don't do well in the sun. The UV breaks them down. The cold weather breaks them down, and then they start ripping, and then you gotta buy a new tent. You just have a piece of junk left because your tent starts ripping everywhere. Believe me, I already have that going on right now. Anyhow, so that camp was displaced. So they're talking about they've already displaced dozens of people and probably killed even more people than that down here through the city's lack of services, through the Sunrise community church's lack of vision and lack of outside services. And so people, my friends included, have died out here. Just died. And the people in this neighborhood, there's barely any unhoused people left. There's just a few people that camp here, and they're swept almost every weekday by either DPS or APD. Usually APD comes, like I was told last week, the APD came down here 2 days in a row, maybe 3 days in a row, and took people's stuff and forced them to go run away and all that. And they're just sitting under the bridge waiting for housing. They're on the housing list waiting for housing. So the solution is the housing, but nobody in there was really wanting to talk too much about the housing, or the fact that the city of Austin has unlimited resources. They say they have a limited budget, but they literally have a $5 billion budget for their general revenue fund, and they have trillions of dollars in assets. At any time they could sell bonds, they could sell a piece of properties, they could do anything they want, or they could just give that stuff to people who have the type of quality of care continuum that needs to be present, the kind of trauma-informed practice, and doesn't have a bunch of narcs working for the city. But unfortunately, when we ask the city to do that, they will not do the right thing. Every time we've seen the city create, or any of these nonprofits create any kind of solution lately in the last, say, 10 years or more, it's always been a scam to make people rich that are in charge. That's it. Where there was Echo, Front Steps, Carita, St. David's, Integral Care, Sunrise, all these nonprofits. I can barely name any that aren't profiting off the poor, using the poor as a commodity to line their pockets and to create some kind of thing that's not really a solution. It actually does harm. It does racist, sexist, bigoted harm and harms people and kills people eventually. My friend Guitar Mark went to Pastor Mark at Sunrise. They got him in their halfway house, and he didn't have AC. And he got upset about it, and apparently threw the TV through the window. He got kicked back out on the streets. Then he was in a wheelchair. He is a great musician. He just had alcoholism and dementia. He actually had amnesia, and forgot that he had quit drinking alcohol and smoking cigarettes. And they found his roommates, when he had a place at one point, found him in a field. And they're like, "What are you doing? How come you haven't been home in months?" And he's like, "Oh, I have a home." He didn't know, because he just has that much heat stroke and trauma and whatever causes your brain to not age well. That's what happened to him from being on the streets. It's the dangers of being on the streets when the city doesn't, and the people here don't care about you. So he died years later in Dallas with family. But he had a hard life, and for decades he spent on the streets writing good music, playing guitar. Then he was in a wheelchair when his hip went out and he needed a hip replacement. His body couldn't take a hip replacement, he told me, the doctor said, because he had other issues. He had other health issues that needed to be taken care of first. He wasn't strong enough. His body wasn't strong enough to take up major surgery. So I miss Guitar Mark. I let him stay with me when I had a place. He was a good guy. And I have a lot of friends that have died on the streets. I consider my family, my street family. There's a lot more that I know on the streets that are also dying. I'm watching them. I'm watching them not get housing. I'm watching them not get services. While David Gray makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year as the director of homeless services for Austin, I see him patting his pockets and smiling and shaking hands. But the truth is never allowed. That's why they surround people like me. That's why they would surround you. If you're telling a lie, they're all okay with you. If you're white, you're female, whatever, they're okay with you. If you got money, they're okay with you. But when you come out as a person of color with lived experience on the streets, person of poverty who's indigent, and you got the truth, shut him down. Shut them down. Shut her down. That's what's going to happen. All right, y'all. Y'all be safe. We're out. This is all I got to say today. There's your steeple. The community doesn't want that steeple. They're willing to fight for it. Namaste, y'all. Be safe. Taking a person off the streets. Just take them in. You don't hear that solution going in, right? If everybody took in somebody, it's just a few people took in somebody and took responsibility for their neighbors instead of just hating on people, none of this would be going on. And the people that are committing crimes, violent crimes or whatever, that's on them. That doesn't reflect on everybody. And stop saying that. The people with mental illness, that doesn't reflect on everybody. The people with substance abuse, that also doesn't reflect on me and others. So stop with all that nonsense and race baiting and boogeymanning, all that. You rich, snotty brats. Your parents taught you wrong. Go read the Bible again. You missed something. Bye.